All right. Good morning, everybody. We are streaming on our Facebook page. A little bit delayed this morning. I'm in Springfield, if you can't tell, and had some conflicts this morning that I could not quite rearrange. So we're coming a little bit delayed to you. The House is going to be in session soon, so this will probably be a pretty quick update. But we were gone for the holidays. My son was home from Japan. First time he's been home in about 2.5 years. So we were able to relax and have some fun with him. Really, I asked him, what do you want to do? There's a lot we can do. We went into Chicago a little bit for a day, but honestly, I know that you and I probably don't. Well, I know the feeling of just being able to sleep in your own bed. He hasn't been in his room, and his room is exactly like he left it. We didn't change a bit of it. But being able to just go back to his room, sit, relax, play with the dog, and just really do nothing for about 11 days he was here. I think that was pretty good. So he really truly enjoyed himself. So just wanted to thank everybody that supports the troops. And when they're home, sometimes they just don't want to do anything and they just want to relax. So and I know how I was when I was overseas, that I really truly did appreciate coming home and just being able to do nothing. So it really was good for him to be home. He's back. He left on December 28th. I asked him what he did for New Year's. He said he was on duty. So welcome back to the military. He had ship duty right when he got back home, but most likely because other people were on leave as well. So with that, good morning, everybody. We are in the new year. It is quite amazing that we are already in January. Today is January 6th. It is Monday, and we are in session, one of the last days of lame duck session. So today's Monday, and Tuesday we have lame duck session, which means that we are still in the 103rd General Assembly. And then in the 104th General Assembly is set to be sworn in on Wednesday. So every bill that it was filed that was we've been working on for these past 2 years gets erased, for lack of a better word. It gets erased, and we need to start again from scratch after Wednesday. And it's going to be interesting. We've had great people working with the office of the speaker, and they are transitioning out. We have new people transitioning in, so it's going to be quite hectic after Wednesday. But we need to make sure that we are up and running. So Wednesday we get sworn in. On Thursday we do some administrative stuff, paperwork, and things like that for the new General Assembly. Then there's historically 2 weeks off so that staff and everybody can get up to speed. The new General Assembly, the 104th, they have to move into their offices. They get set up with their computers, their phones, and everything else. So there's a lot that goes on in those 2 weeks. I'm probably going to stay in my office. I don't think we can get bumped by an individual that is more senior. I don't think that's going to happen. Most likely because I don't have an outside window. Everybody likes outside windows. I have an inside office and I'm perfectly fine with that. It doesn't bother me at all. So that's where we're at today in Springfield. Now, there's a couple bills on the docket that are going to be considered. And the reason why lame duck is a bit of an important part is because, as I said, we haven't adjourned the 103rd General Assembly, but we're not in veto session. So in veto session, every bill needs a supermajority, which is 71 votes. In lame duck session, it's a normal session day. So 60 votes is all that's needed to pass a bill. So there are some bills that are moving. And just want to give you a quick update with regards to that and where we're at. So aside from Springfield, today, January 6th, is Three Kings Day. So a lot of Latin American countries, Santa Claus isn't as popular as he is in the United States, but the three wise men, who are the bearers of gifts and leaves presents, enter near shoes of small children. So that correlates with the biblical teachings of the three wise men. And so Three Kings Day is an important holiday for a lot of Catholics and many in our Latin American countries, Mexico and the like. And January 6th is also, to give you other context of January 6th, January 6th also is National Bean Day. So this day celebrates the bean in all shapes, sizes, and colors, not referring to the bean in downtown Chicago, but actually the 40,000 varieties of beans throughout the world. Illinois ranks number 1 in soybean production overall. We're number 2 in corn, number 1 in soybean. There's a bad joke. What kind of show do green beans plants record? Podcasts. So you can listen to me on the next podcast. So January 7th is Mentor Day. I Am a Mentor Day honors the mentors who play vital roles in people's lives. And January 9th is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Certainly your feedback is really important. If you don't sign up for our weekly newsletter, our e-blast, we normally have an opinion poll on a bill or some kind of legislative proposal. And in the 103rd General Assembly, there is a bill known as the Cure Act. This is, you might have seen it in the news. Psilocybin is a medical benefit in certain situations. So it is a drug that has been linked to some really interesting treatments for depression, other mental health conditions. It's a psychotropic drug, so it does affect the psyche. It's been granted a breakthrough therapy designation by the FDA, which can accelerate the process of development and approval by the FDA for prescribers. We asked folks what they thought of it. It was split 50-50. Some people weren't in favor of it and some people were. So very good to know. So jumping to lame duck. So we're in lame duck. And so we are looking at a variety of things. One bill passed the Senate, would come back. It changes the process in which somebody can change their name. They still have to go in front of a judge. They still have to be, verified under oath that, they need to change their name. I mean, people change their names quite often. In fact, our vice president-elect, J.D. Vance, that wasn't his name to begin with. He changed his name. So individuals do change their names. They have to live in Illinois for 3 months at the time of the hearing. And so that is up on the docket for lame duck. It passed the Senate. It needs to come to the House for approval. The Department of Corrections needs to post quarterly reports on the use of restrictive housing or solitary confinement on the agency's website. So we certainly have that on the docket. The Senate on Sunday passed a bill intended to protect senior citizens in Illinois from abuse and neglect by prohibiting nursing homes from retaliating against a resident for registering complaints about the home to state officials. That passed. That's coming over to the House. There is a bill that passed the House last spring, and that's now in the Senate, to look at law enforcement and how they respond to cases of Black youths who are reported missing or abducted. So it would set up an Ebony Alert notification system, supplementing the Amber Alert. And it was sponsored by Representative Marcus Evans. He co-sponsored the bill. And it's important to him to address the current concerns that address, young individuals. And there is a lot of young missing Black women and not really a lot of follow through or really newsworthiness or really reporting of it. And it really is hard. And we certainly need to make sure that everybody's alert if there are people missing. So it is certainly not, it certainly is something that's a good thing that we need to do. Also looking at what's called an energy bill, a very small energy bill, looking at ways that we can still be energy efficient. It might be something as simple as replacing old light bulbs with LEDs, giving a grant to an industrial site to put in something more efficient. We have existing law on the books, so this just kind of tweaks it a bit. And we're going to continue to work on it. So this is just one step. And then when the 104th General Assembly gets sworn in, there's going to be probably more work in this area as well. And then finally, that I know on the docket is legislation that would make it easier for family members of children in Illinois' child welfare system to get licensed as foster parents. And that's coming back to the House for a final vote. So 60% of family members caring for children under the auspices of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services could gain access to additional financial help through provisions in the bill. And this is I think a really amazing bill to help out because it keeps children with their family and it helps support them. If a child is not with their family and they're in the foster care system with foster parents, there's additional financial help that goes along with that. However, if they're with an aunt or another family member, they don't get any additional help, but it is still a strain on their families and they still need help. So pretty excited to see that bill come to fruition, and it's going to be passed in the it's going to be voted on in the House, and I do believe it will pass. Finally, oh, John Lawson, are there any veteran bills planned to be acted on lame duck or session? There are some veteran bills we're working on, not necessarily lame duck. So we're working on a pension bill. May or may not be able to land the plane in 2 days. The component in that bill is to allow veterans to buy up to 4 years of service in the pension. Right now it's at 2. An average contract is 4 years. So that's what's on the docket right now. Looking at in the future veteran bills, there are a couple bills that are still conceptual. We're looking at it from a legislative way. Working with the state liaison for the Department of Defense. They have some initiatives to help military families. We have, Rock Island Arsenal, Scott Air Force Base, and Great Lakes. So helping those families that are on those bases. So we are constantly looking out for veteran bills, and we will, when we get all those formulated and drafted and filed, we'll be talking about the veterans bills that will be coming up in the 104th. Good morning, Roger. Thanks for joining us. Wonderful. And Ellen and Gay and Bonnie, thanks for watching and thanks for the question, John. So and really it's a blank slate for the 104th General Assembly. We're just starting. So any and all issues, complaints, concerns that folks would say, this could be a good law, we need to tweak this law, we need to work on this, send them our way. And we can certainly look at that filing. We have a short window to file, I think the middle of February to get all our requests on for drafting and then filing. So but certainly get them our way. Happy to work with you. It would be great. So January 1. Nearly 300 new Illinois laws went into effect this week. Now, that being said, a lot of these laws are technical changes that really don't affect people. They just affect the way government functions, works. For example, January 1 is a bill that went into effect that gives the Secretary of State permission to start researching and developing a digital ID on your phone. You're not going to be able to get a digital ID on your phone January 1st. The law had to give the Secretary of State permission to start working on that. And so it'll be sometime in the future when they do all the due diligence, maybe next year. So that's a law that doesn't affect people. It affects the Secretary of State's office because they needed permission to do things. The way government is set up is the legislature, in many instances, has to give permission to departments or to other constitutional officers to be able to do things. That's kind of our checks and balance system. Now, I understand the governor is in charge of the state, which is true, but we are the checks and balance. So So that's an example of quite a few of the laws that went into effect. But January 1, the state minimum wage will jump from $14 to $15 an hour for workers 18 years and older. The minimum wage for tipped workers will also increase to $9 an hour. In 2024, tipped employees earned at least $8.40 an hour. I kind of laugh at that, not in a funny way, because when I was in college, I did waitressing. I was a tipped worker and I earned $2.35 an hour. So thank goodness it's been adjusted because I was just ridiculous. Overtime must be paid after 40 hours of work per week at time and a half. So we also have pay benefit transparency for job listings. If there's a job that's posted, they need to put pay and benefit information on the job postings. That's just for good transparency. A new law with regards to reproductive rights. You cannot discriminate based on the person's reproductive health systems decisions. So it goes under the Human Rights Act. Illinois can engage in any kind of healthcare decisions they need without facing discrimination. This just adds to that. Another law, protections for family responsibilities in employment. Illinois workers who provide care to family members will be protected from employment discrimination based on family responsibilities as of January 1. Landlord retaliation against renters. Based on the new law taking effect, an Illinois landlord may not knowingly terminate a lease, increase rent, or bring or threaten a lawsuit against a tenant in response to a tenant's complaint about their housing, or if there's issues. And then we had a bill that prohibits hospitals from directly billing a patient that is 138% below the federal poverty line. They need to work. A lot of hospitals have, believe it or not, community foundations, or they have charitable giving. So they should work with individuals that are at the poverty line or below, or 138% below the poverty line with regards to this. A Senate Bill 2737 eliminates the do not compete or do not solicit clauses for employment agreements for individuals providing mental health services for first responders and veterans. So we have this in the industry, but really, if for mental health services, you should not have a do not compete or do not solicit clause from employment agreements for individuals providing mental health services to first responders and veterans. And it prohibits non-complete, non-solicitation agreements in the construction industry. Another law provides that animal shelter, animal control facility may waive the adoption fee for a dog and cat if the person adopting the dog and cat is a veteran and meets specific criteria. Now, the veteran can always pay the fee to help support the dog or shelter, but they may waive it. And then House Bill 4911 expands the number of ways a customer may cancel a contract for physical fitness, including by email, if an email address was provided in the contract, or online if the contract was entered into online. So this was quite the issue that you couldn't cancel specifically like physical fitness services unless you got there in person. And it was just really quite frustrating. So we had to pass a law. And then if a juvenile charge was a result of human trafficking, it can be expunged from the victim's record. So if a young person was forced into human trafficking, we don't want them to be punished, and they can be expunged for their weapon. So there's a full list of new laws posted on our website, ildistrict84.com. Just look at them if you want to. There's about, 15, 17 pages of new laws. If you can't sleep and want something to look at, very well, you can do that. January 1, also the date to start voting on a new state flag. We were talking about this before. You can vote to save the old flag. Nobody's saying any opinion about the old flag. But I think that options and opportunity, and, that old flag's been around a long time. Maybe other states have upgraded their flag. What's wrong with looking at it? If the most of Illinois want to keep the old flag, we keep it. If Illinois wants a new flag, then the people of Illinois get a new flag. That's a little bit of how democracy is. So definitely go online, Secretary of State's office, and look at the 10 finalists. And then it's been actually kind of funny because some news outlets have been FOIA-ing the other submissions that didn't get picked. There are over 5,000 submissions, and the commission picked the top 10. I do have to laugh. I just looked, and there's one submission that somebody just took a picture of their burrito and sent that in because it's their morning burrito for a new state flag. So it's been kind of fun to see some of the other submissions that didn't get picked as well. And I think it's a wonderful experiment, and it's a wonderful thing to get to the individuals of Illinois to give them a choice on their flag. That's all it's about. We have a law that for the Illinois Department of Human Rights, after the date of an incident, there's a law that extends the statute of limitation to non-housing cases from 300 days to 2 years. That just helps out with the investigation. And then, without ado, the House paid a resolution honoring President Jimmy Carter's legacy of peace and commitment to humanitarian efforts, especially in the Middle East and Palestine. It was adopted in the Illinois House on Sunday. It was carried by State Representative Ebenezer Rashid. He's a Bridgeview Democrat. And President Jimmy Carter, as a lot of people should know, died last Sunday, and he left an impression on Illinois, visiting very often. I mean, during his campaigns and the presidency, believe it or not. Certainly a wonderful individual that will be missed by pretty much, I think, the whole country. The Illinois Department of Labor created a new informal resolution and mediation unit. So that's going to help workers and employers resolve straightforward claims before they reach an administrative hearing or litigation. So that helps out a lot. It's a pilot program. It's a proactive resolution for single employee low dollar wage claims, and it's administration of the new Illinois Freelance Worker Protection Act. So it's a pilot program. So we're going to work to identify other laws administered from IDOL that might be appropriate for voluntary informal resolution and mediation. The Illinois Commerce Commission. Now, Ameren is not in our area. Our area is ComEd, but Ameren does give a lot of power to Southern Illinois residents and Central Illinois residents. So the Commerce Commission approved they refiled a multi-year grid plan with some modifications. So that was approved. It went back and forth. Ameren reduced their rate request by 7%, and they're going to be building out the grid there in Central and Southern Illinois. Now, if you live around the Lombard area, it's not too far from my area, but around the Lombard area, you can now update your license plate sticker from the drive-through. So the state's first drive-through DMV kiosk opened last week at the Lombard Driver Service Facility at 837 Westmore Meters Road, 24/7 access to new registration and licenses and to obtain license plate stickers. So people can visit the office, and now you can do drive-throughs. They're looking at other drive-through around Chicago. More than 100 drive-through DMVs are slotted to be installed statewide over the next 18 months. 15 similar kiosks were installed inside grocery stores, 6 in Chicago, but they're limited to the store's hours. The 24/7 drive-through kiosk comes as part of the reopening of the Lombard DMV, which relocated within the Eastgate Shopping Center. It's long been one of the state's busiest facilities, with 134,000 vehicle transactions and 125,000 driver-related services that year. So check it out if you need the services with that. And then IDOT revitalized, modernized their transportation statewide plan for 2024. In 2019, we passed the Rebuild Illinois, which is investing $45 billion in our infrastructure. About $17.2 billion has been spent statewide. And what does that mean? What does that mean? $17.2 billion statewide. It translates into 6,791 miles of highway, 711 bridges, and 1,031 additional safety improvements, ranging from resurfacings of roads, extensive interstate and bridge reconstructions as well. So we are still working on the plan. And so we are going to now be spending the rest of that money. We're looking at covering fiscal years 2025 to 2030. It's a multi-year program. You can't fix everything at the same time. Just like owning a house, you can't fix everything at the same time. It takes time and effort to be able to do that. Interstate 80 project in Will County, $1.3 billion of that. So it just gives you an idea that road construction isn't cheap, and it is it always working. I-55 and Illinois 59, that interchange in Joliet and Shorewood opened early October. That project was a $93.5 million project. So they're not cheap, but that's what the money's going to. It's lockbox. It's all going to road improvements. We need safe roads. We need to make sure people are able to drive to their destinations without major issues. Finally, we passed this law to allow youth in care, current and former youth in care, to get scholarship programs. DCFS is currently accepting applications for the 2025 DCFS scholarship program. Academic scholarships are awarded to current and former youth in care for the upcoming school years. So there are 4 awards that are reserved for the children of veterans and 2 awards presented to students pursuing degrees in social work in honor of Pamela Knight and Deidre Sass, 2 DCFS caseworkers who succumbed to injuries sustained in the line of duties. So for more information, it says applications are available through the DCFS on the DCFS website. Their online link is a really long website, so I'm not going to read it online, but March 31st is the deadline with regards to that. And then Department of Natural Resources, we might have talked about this before. We're talking about avian influenza and birds. So IDNR are looking at birds throughout the state during this seasonal bird migration. The public are encouraged to report concentrations of 5 or more dead birds found in one location to IDNR district wildlife biologists by going online and submitting that information. They really, truly do keep track of that stuff. And then finally, congratulations to North Central College, wins the Division III national football title. So certainly Luke Lean has accomplished over the last 4 years. Top level quarterback, 4-year starter, capped off his record-setting career by leading the Cardinals to a 41-25 Stag Bowl win over Mount Union Sunday night at Shell Energy Stadium. So congratulations to North Central College. And then the Bears. Let's just start 2025 off with a positive note. The Bears top the Green Bay Packers for the first time in 6 seasons. And so they are undefeated in 2025 so far. A 51-yard field goal as time expired Sunday at Lambeau Field to lift the Bears to a 24-22 victory in their season finale. So Santos, who had a potential winning field goal attempt block in the previous Bears-Packers meeting in November, raced around the field in celebration after making the kick. So we're not going to talk about the Bears records because they lost a lot of games. But it was their first victory in the series since December 2018 and their first win in Green Bay since 2015. So very excited about that. They broke their 10-game losing streak. And Caleb Williams got the winning drive in the final minute after the Packers pulled ahead 22-21. 18-yard pass to DJ Moore in the middle of the field to get the Bears to the Green Bay 33-yard line. So very exciting with regards to that. Congratulations to the Bears. Now, one thing that just broke after that my notes were compiled is the Washington. And this goes along with pensions. So this is yesterday. I just got the notice and they changed it. This week was supposed to be the signing, but President Biden signed a law yesterday, Sunday, at 3 o'clock our time, which would eliminate which is called the windfall provision. Now, those of you that are teachers or in the state TRS or SURS or the state systems of the pensions that don't pay into Social Security, the federal government had a law that said you could not collect your pension and any Social Security. It had to be one, and it was always the pension. That's what you got. It didn't matter if you put in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of Social Security. When you got vested in the state pension system, you essentially lost that investment. So for nationwide, millions and millions of individuals that are in pension systems that don't coordinate with Social Security, such as those in the state of Illinois, they will now be able to receive a Social Security benefit, however small, of the money that they put into Social Security. So this is a huge, huge thing that individuals have been working on a long time. It helps so many individuals in the state of Illinois. Like the individuals that started working like me when I started working when I was 15. I paid into Social Security my whole life. Then you get a job, such as a teacher, and then you get vested in the pension system. You would not get that Social Security, and survivors would not get that Social Security, and it was disingenuous. You couldn't get that money back. You paid into it your whole life since you were young. So yesterday at 3 o'clock, President Biden signed the bill, passed out of the House and Senate on the national level to eliminate this windfall provision for our pensioners. So now, just like everybody else who gets their 401k and their Social Security, whatever it might be, now, whatever small amount they paid into Social Security before they came into our pension system, they are entitled to that small amount as well. They paid into it. They should get it out. So, so those that have not been following that, just got signed yesterday at 3 o'clock. So with that, I don't have anything else to report from Springfield. Again, inauguration is on Wednesday. You can view things on ilga.gov in the audio visual section of that website. You can see us on the floor or if there's any committee meetings. But with that, hope everybody has a great week ahead of them. It is snowing down here. I think we got over 9 or 10 inches. It's been crazy. I don't think there's any snows back up north, but everybody be safe. If you're traveling, be safe. Going back to work, definitely be safe. Watch out. I've been seeing a lot of people, individuals just really driving through red lights, driving through stop signs. So honestly, I've stopped accelerating when I see a green light. I pause, I look to make sure the other traffic has stopped because I've seen so many individuals go through red light, so many accidents. It's just, you just got to start being safe out there. So with that, have a great day. I got to go to the House floor. We are beginning shortly. So take care, everybody. Have a great week. We will Zoom again next week at our usual time, 9 o'clock. So take care, all.